I've been selling waterproofing materials for 15 years, but I never imagined water would be what trapped me and killed me one day. On the afternoon of July 15th, I was taking inventory in the warehouse. Suddenly, a strange weather alert popped up on my phone. It wasn't a regular orange rainstorm warning. It was a dark purple alert I'd never seen before. Expected rainfall over the next 72 hours, 800 to 1,000 millimeters. What the hell? Is the Pacific Ocean about to come pouring down? The warehouse was hot and stuffy like a steamer. Even shirtless, I was drenched in sweat. That July afternoon, the metal roof had been baked scorching hot. Even the electric fan was blowing hot air. "Old Chen, give me another 20 rolls of waterproof membrane." My regular customer, contractor Lou, pushed the door open and came in, looking a little off. I looked at him in surprise. "Didn't you just haul away 10 rolls this morning?" "Not enough. Not nearly enough." "Did you see the weather forecast?" Only then did I notice the dark purple alert was still flashing on my phone. I opened the details, and the dense weather jargon made my scalp tingle. An extreme rainfall cloud mass, with abnormally strong moisture flow. Convective weather is expected to last more than 72 hours. What does that mean? Contractor Lou swallowed hard. "It means it's going to rain hard. Really hard. I've worked construction for 20 years, and I've never seen a warning at this level." Then he started buying everything he could. Waterproof membranes, leak-stopping compound, quick-setting cement, waterproof coating. Anything he could carry went into his truck. When the other customers saw what he was doing, they started panic buying too. In less than an hour, a third of my waterproofing stock was sold. "Old Chen, do you have any sandbags?" Another contractor asked. "Who keeps sandbags in stock?" I shook my head. "You'd better get some fast. This rain isn't normal." Still half doubtful, I called my supplier, and he said straight out, "Sandbags have been sold out for a long time." At 4 in the afternoon, the sky suddenly went dark. It was the middle of summer, but it looked like 5 or 6 in the evening in winter. The wind started picking up, rattling the warehouse's metal door. I locked up the warehouse and headed home. When I passed the market, I got a shock. The market was usually closing up around this time, but today it was packed. Older women pushed carts around, snatching up rice, flour, cooking oil, instant noodles, and bottled water. They grabbed whatever they saw. 100 yuan for 5 pounds of pork. "Take it or leave it," the butcher shouted at the top of his lungs. "Wasn't it 40 yesterday? Yesterday was yesterday. Didn't you see the heavy rain coming? After today, you won't be able to buy it even if you have the money." My heart sank. Vendors who had worked the market for years had a sharper sense for anything unusual than anyone. If even they were stocking up, I had to squeeze my way in. I grabbed 2 cases of instant noodles, a bag of rice, and several cases of bottled water. At checkout, the cashier said, "We also have compressed biscuits. Want some? Take as many as you've got." When I got back to my place, I lived in a resettlement apartment in the old district, on the 6th floor with no elevator. Climbing the stairs was tiring enough on a normal day. Today, carrying dozens of pounds of supplies, I was out of breath halfway up. Old Zhang on the 5th floor opened his door and saw me. "Xiao Chen, why did you buy so much?" "Just being prepared. I heard there's going to be heavy rain." Old Zhang didn't take it seriously. How bad can the rain get in an inland city like ours? The year before last, they called it a once-in-a-century storm, and in the end, only a few roads flooded. I didn't argue with him and kept climbing. The moment I stepped inside, the first raindrop fell. It wasn't like a normal raindrop hitting the windowsill. It hit with a snap, like someone had thrown a glass marble at it. Then, a heavy wall of rain came pouring down from every direction. It hammered against the security bars, crackling like machine gun fire. I leaned against the window and looked down. People on the street were covering their heads and running like crazy. Raindrops slammed into the ground, splashing water half a meter high. Delivery guy's electric scooter was pounded by the rain until it was wobbling all over the place. Something was wrong with this rain. My phone rang again. This time, it was the neighborhood owners group. "Dear residents, I'm the property manager. We've received a notice, so please prepare for possible flooding. Check that your doors and windows are properly closed. Residents on lower floors should watch out for flooding. You pay property fees. Don't you people usually clean the drains? They got clogged once last year. Stop arguing. Go to the supermarket and buy some food now. If you're late, it'll all be gone." I turned off my phone and started checking my own supplies. As the owner of a building materials business, I had no shortage of waterproofing materials at home. Waterproof tape, glass sealant, weather stripping. I had everything I needed. Outside the window, the rain kept getting heavier. The sound of rain changed from a crackle to a roar. The whole world was swallowed by a white curtain of rain. I could barely see the building across the way. I turned on the TV. Every channel was broadcasting weather alerts. The anchor looked serious. "Due to unusual weather conditions, our city will see a rare stretch of sustained heavy rainfall. Residents are advised to take precautions and avoid going out unless necessary." The building materials market group chat on my phone was blowing up too. Waterproofing materials were running dangerously low everywhere. Someone just offered 5 times the price for sandbags. "I still have some plastic sheeting left. 50 per square meter. Come quick if you want it." Reading those messages, I felt more and more uneasy. I'd been in this business for 15 years. I'd seen my share of storms, but this time, something felt different. Outside the window, the rain was still coming down harder. Drains downstairs started bubbling and making gurgling sounds. It was like some monster was stirring underground. I took out my phone and messaged a few close friends. Bro, something's not right about this rain. Stock up on food. Now. Most of them replied that I was overthinking it. Only one friend who worked in water resources sent back 3 words. Stock up fast. I stopped hesitating, put on my raincoat, and rushed downstairs. The convenience store at the neighborhood gate had already been cleaned out. The owner was closing up. It's all gone. Everything's gone. Money won't do you any good now. I ran 3 blocks before finally finding a small supermarket that was still open. Inside, it was complete chaos. People were shoving shopping carts all over the place. The shelves had been wiped clean. I grabbed the last 2 cases of instant noodles, a few packs of pickled mustard greens, and a dozen sausages. At checkout, the owner flat out said 800. Stuff that usually cost less than 100 was now 800. Take it or leave it. There are people waiting behind you. I gritted my teeth and paid. On the way back, the rainwater was already over my ankles. A walk that usually took 10 minutes took me half an hour through the water. Every storm drain along the road was spewing water back out. Trash and sludge were being washed everywhere. The sedan was stuck in the floodwater. The driver stood on the roof, shouting for help. A few passers-by tried to help push the car. The current was too strong, and they couldn't get any leverage. As I passed by, I heard the driver cry out in despair, "Can anyone give me a ride? I'll pay 1,000. No one paid him any attention. In weather like this, everyone was just trying to save themselves. I finally made it back to the complex. The first floor lobby was already flooded. Several residents from the lower floors were moving their things out. The elevator had stopped long ago. The water got in this fast? I asked the security guard. The old security guard's face was pale. The sewers are all clogged. It's backing up. I've been guarding this gate for 10 years, and I've never seen anything like this. I carried my supplies upstairs, hearing something different on every floor. The second floor was nailing boards over doors. The third was moving furniture, and the fourth was arguing. At a time like this, you're still worried about money? That's the jewelry my mom left me. You may not even make it out alive. What good is jewelry? Back on the 6th floor, I quickly sealed every gap around the doors and windows with waterproof tape. Then I stacked a few bags of cement by the door. I lived on the 6th floor, but with rain like this, who knew how high the water would rise? At 8 that night, the power went out, and the whole city fell into darkness. Only the rain kept roaring. I turned on my phone's flashlight and started taking stock of my supplies. The food would last a week. I had 4 cases of water, plus candles, lighters, and flashlights. For a single guy living alone, that was enough. My phone signal came and went. The last message I got was an emergency alert from the city. Residents are advised to stay in a safe place, avoid going outside, and wait for further notice. I leaned against the window and stared into the darkness outside. The rain was still falling, harder and harder. Raindrops pounded against the glass, like countless hands knocking at the door. Car alarms went off downstairs, one after another. It sounded like the city's dying wail. At 2 in the morning, a loud crash jolted me awake. I pressed myself to the window and looked down. In a flash of lightning, I saw that the wall at the entrance to the complex had collapsed. Floodwater roared into the complex like a beast let loose. Several cars parked in low-lying spots were swept away on the spot. They spun in the current before finally slamming into the building. My heart sank. For 15 years, I had sold countless waterproofing materials. I had met countless customers struggling with leaks. I always told them with complete confidence that there was no water we couldn't keep out. Only now did I understand that against a real flood, human defenses were laughable. The rain kept falling. This storm had only just begun. That crash before dawn was only the beginning. I couldn't fall back asleep, so I sat by the window and watched the water level downstairs. My phone still had battery, but the signal was completely gone. The last post on my social feed was from 11 last night. It was from a reseller clearing out perfume shipped directly from France. How fucking ironic. When dawn began to break, the rain eased up a little, and I finally saw the devastation below. The entire residential complex had turned into a flooded wasteland. Car roofs that had still been above water last night were gone. Now only antennas spun on the surface. Landscaping, exercise equipment, and pavilion in the complex had all vanished beneath the muddy yellow water. The water had already reached the 2nd floor windows. I lived on the 6th floor, so in theory I was still safe. But looking at that raging water, I didn't feel sure at all. Worse still, I realized the water wasn't clear. It was murky and black. All kinds of trash, branches, and things I didn't want to think about were floating on it. A frantic knock at the door startled me. Who is it? Old Zhang? Xiao Chen, do you have any food? I hesitated for a moment, then opened the door. Old Zhang stood in the doorway, his face pale and his eyes bloodshot. I didn't take it seriously yesterday, so I hadn't prepared anything at home. He rubbed his hands together. I handed him a pack of instant noodles and 2 bottles of water. Make it last. Old Zhang thanked me over and over before leaving. I knew this was only the beginning. Once everyone else caught on, The little I had stocked up wouldn't be nearly enough to share. Sure enough, less than half an hour later, the hallway started getting noisy. Residents from the second floor were moving upstairs with their whole families. Their apartments had already flooded. The men were carrying TVs. Women were carrying bedding. There was even a young woman carrying a cat upstairs. Can people really live in the hallway? It's better than being soaked in water. It's all the property management's fault. The drains clog every year, and they never fix them. The noise kept getting louder. I simply shut the door. Out of sight, out of mind. But trouble still came knocking. Sister Wang from the third floor knocked on my door. Xiao Chen, you live alone and have plenty of space. Would you let us shelter at your place? Just me and my husband. We won't cause any trouble. I knew Sister Wang. She usually sold breakfast at the neighborhood gate, and she was a decent person. But with things like this, Sister Wang, I'm really sorry. My place is small. Sister Wang's expression changed. I've always looked out for you. I often added extra eggs to your jianbing without charging you. Now I'm just asking you for a small favor. After I shut the door, I felt awful. But I knew very well that if I gave in now, there would only be more trouble later. Around noon, the rain started coming down harder again. I leaned against the window and watched. Water was still rising and had almost reached the third floor. Someone in the building across from us was waving a bedsheet from the window, as if calling for help. But at that distance, no one could help anyone. Even worse, the water started changing color. Murky yellow had turned gray-black. A slick layer of oil floated on the surface. I saw dead fish drifting past, their white bellies turned up. There were also swollen garbage bags, filled with who knew what. A rotten stench filled the air, and even closed windows couldn't keep it out. Another commotion broke out in the hallway. Are they charging people to go up to the fourth floor? 500 yuan per person per day. Why don't they just rob us? We have space. Do you? Isn't this just taking advantage of a crisis? I think we should organize everyone and set up shelters on the roof. With the wind and rain this bad, can they even hold up? Arguments broke out all around. I looked through the peephole. The hallway was packed with people. Bedding rolls were piled up everywhere. Some people had started fires to cook. The choking smell of smoke seeped in through the crack under my door. Suddenly, a scream tore through the air. Someone jumped. I rushed to the window. I saw a figure floating on the water, being swept away fast by the raging current. They were from the building across from us. Maybe they had lost hope and tried to swim somewhere else to survive. The current was too strong, and the figure disappeared. The hallway went quiet for a few seconds. Then even greater panic broke out. No, someone will definitely come save us. Look outside. The whole city is like this. Who's going to come? Panic spread like a plague. Some people started crying, some started praying, and others started smashing doors. I know you have food. We're all neighbors. Are you really going to let us die? Break it open. There must be supplies inside. I quickly braced the door with furniture, my palms slick with sweat. Pounding outside grew louder and louder. I could even hear the wood starting to crack. At the critical moment, Brother Chen from the 6th floor spoke up. Everyone, stop. Anyone who keeps causing trouble, I'll throw them down there myself. Brother Chen was a veteran. He usually kept to himself, but he was highly respected in the complex. Once he spoke, things outside gradually quieted down. This isn't the time to turn on each other, Brother Chen said in a steady voice. Go back to your homes, or stay in the hallway and behave. If anyone dares to rob people, I'll be the first to stop them. The crowd dispersed, but I knew it was only temporary. Once people were truly starving, no amount of respect would matter. That evening, I gnawed on a compressed biscuit and washed it down with bottled water. It tasted awful, but right now, it could save my life. Outside the window, the rain was still falling. Water had completely swallowed the third floor. The whole building had become an island. Aside from the rain and rushing water, there wasn't a single sound of the city left. No cars, no voices, no music, not even birdsong. This city of 8 million people seemed to have died overnight. I lit a cigarette. It was my last pack. As the smoke curled around me, a lot of memories came back. I thought about my ex-wife and wondered how she was doing now. After the divorce, she moved down south. Things should be okay over there, right? I thought about my parents back home. They lived in the countryside, on higher ground, so they should be safe. I thought about the goods in the warehouse. Those waterproofing materials were probably underwater by now. It had become the biggest irony of all. Someone knocked again, very softly this time. Xiao Chen. It's me, Brother Chen. I opened the door. Brother Chen looked serious. Need to talk something over with you. Brother Chen said there were only 4 households on the 6th floor, so we had to stick together. He lowered his voice. The people downstairs are almost at their breaking point. When people get hungry enough, they'll do anything. I nodded. You're right. Old Li's family and I both have food stored up. We can last a week or so. Xiao Liu is young and doesn't have much experience. He probably didn't prepare much. Brother Chen looked at me. How are things with you? I thought for a moment. I'm okay. If I ration it, I can hold out. That's good. Brother Chen patted me on the shoulder. Remember, don't let anyone know what you have. At a time like this, just having food makes you a target. After Brother Chen left, my heart felt even heavier. Night fell outside the window. With no lights, the city was pitch black. Only the surface of the water occasionally reflected an eerie glow. The rain was still falling. I lay in bed, listening to the rain, listening to the sound of rushing water, listening to the waves of crying and cursing from the hallway. The first day was already this hard to get through. What about after this? If the rain kept falling for a few more days and the water kept rising, even the 6th floor wouldn't be safe. When that time came, would we go up to the roof and wait to die? Or go downstairs and look for a way out? I didn't dare think about it. In the early hours before dawn, sounds of fighting came from downstairs. That's my water. Bullshit. It's mine. Stop fighting. Everything spilled. Then came a woman's scream and the sound of something shattering, and a child crying. A thin layer of civilization was as fragile as paper when survival was on the line. I rolled over and pressed a pillow over my ears. I couldn't block out the fear growing deeper inside me. The water kept rising, the rain kept falling, and we were all trapped on this isolated island that was about to sink. At dawn on the 3rd day, I woke up to noise in the hallway. I cracked the door open and looked out. The hallway was already packed with people. Everyone from the 3rd floor had moved up here. Bedding rolls, pots, bowls, and utensils were piled everywhere. The air was thick with sweat, smoke, and a strange smell of rot. The water has reached the 4th floor. The news hit like a bomb, instantly setting off panic in the crowd. If even the 4th floor is flooded, what are we supposed to do? Run to the roof. Can people even stay on the roof? The rain just won't stop. I shut the door, my heart sinking. At this rate, the water level was rising 1 floor a day. By the 6th day, it would reach my place. I had to come up with something. I started rummaging through the apartment, looking for anything useful. Waterproof tarps, plastic buckets, rope, tape, and some tools. Since I was in the building materials business, I'd piled up plenty of scraps at home over the years. Now they were all valuable. While I was busy, someone knocked on the door. Xiao Chen, open up. We need to talk. It was Chen. I opened the door. Lao Li and Xiao Liu were with him. Xiao Liu was a programmer and rarely showed his face. Now his face was pale and yellow. He was clearly hungry. Come in. 4 of us sat around the living room, the mood heavy. Chen spoke first. You've all seen the situation. We have to find a way to save ourselves. What can we do? The water is rising so fast. And who knows when rescue will come. That's exactly why we have to save ourselves. Chen looked at us. I have a proposal. We work together. How? First, we share supplies. Everyone knows about how much each household has stored away. Sharing doesn't mean confiscating. It means distributing everything in an organized way. So everyone has a chance to survive. Xiao Liu's expression changed. I don't have much stored away. I know, Chen said, looking at him. That's why we need to work together even more. You're young and strong. You can take on more of the work. Second, Chen continued, we need to prepare a fallback plan. If the water really reaches the 6th floor, we'll need somewhere to go. Roof? Lao Li asked. Not just the roof. Chen looked at me. Xiao Chen works in building materials. He must have some ideas. Everyone looked at me. I thought for a moment. I did have an idea. I have waterproof tarps and some other materials at home. We can set up a temporary shelter on the roof. But that alone won't be enough. We'll also need wood, rope, and preferably something that floats. Floating materials, like foam boxes, plastic bottles, tires, anything that can stay afloat. I explained. If, and I mean if, even the roof isn't safe, we can at least make a raft. Everyone fell silent. Making a raft meant drifting through the floodwaters. That was almost the same as asking to die. Let's not think that far ahead yet, Chen said, breaking the silence. Right now, the priority is gathering materials and strengthening our defenses. Lao Li, go check the stairwell and collect anything we can use. Xiao Liu, you and Xiao Chen go knock on doors and see who's willing to work with us. Will those people be willing? Xiao Liu sounded doubtful. What if they're not? Do we force them? Chen's eyes sharpened. If we want to survive, we have to stick together. Xiao Liu and I headed out. The stairwell looked even worse than it had that morning. Someone was cooking over a fire in the corner, and the thick smoke made it hard to keep our eyes open. People were fighting over space, even coming to blows over a spot big enough to lie down. Hey sir, I said as I knocked on the door of 601. A few of us neighbors on the 6th floor were talking about. The door slammed shut. After getting doors shut in our faces several times in a row, Xiao Liu got discouraged. It's no use. When disaster hits, everyone looks out for themselves. Let's try again. We went to 603. A young couple lived there. Man was a fitness trainer. Woman was a nurse. Trying to organize a rescue effort among ourselves. Do you understand? Man looked at us warily. What kind of rescue effort? I explained the plan. The couple exchanged a look. The woman said, we can join, but on one condition. What condition? We can share supplies, but they have to be divided fairly. Also, I'm a nurse. If anyone gets sick or hurt, I can help. We'll all have to look for medical supplies together. No problem. And just like that, our self-rescue group had 6 people. That afternoon, we got to work. Lao Li found quite a few useful things in the stairwell. Several foam boxes, a bundle of nylon rope, and a few wooden boards. Some had been thrown away, and some were borrowed. The family on the 4th floor had left, and their door was open. Old Lee lowered his voice. He found 2 boxes of instant noodles and some tools. I didn't ask what he meant by left. At a time like this, morality was a luxury. Brother Chen was in charge of planning the rooftop shelter. He had served in the engineering corps, so he had plenty of experience with this kind of thing. There was a water tank equipment room on the roof that could be turned into a shelter. We could cover the sides with waterproof tarps, then add a sloped roof on top. That way, the rainwater could run off. Can we collect the rainwater? Yes, I jumped in. I have plastic pipes and water barrels. We can make a simple rainwater collection system. That's great. Clean water is what we're shortest on right now. People in the stairwell have already started having diarrhea. Akyung, the fitness coach, was strong, so he was in charge of moving materials. He might look tough lifting weights at the gym, but when it came to real work, he was still gasping for breath. This is way more exhausting than lifting weights. He wiped away his sweat and complained. By evening, we had already put up a simple frame on the rooftop. It was crude, but at least it could block the wind and rain. We'll continue tomorrow. Brother Chen said everyone should go back and rest tonight, and leave someone in the stairwell to keep watch. Xiao Liu didn't understand. To stop people from stealing things, or worse. That night, the rain let up a little. I leaned against the window and watched what was happening outside. The water had completely swallowed the 4th floor and was closing in on the 5th. All kinds of debris floated on the surface. Plastic bags, pieces of furniture, and things I didn't want to look at too closely. The building across from us was in even worse shape. Several windows were wide open, with pitch-black darkness inside. I couldn't tell whether the residents had escaped or died. Then I saw something that made my skin crawl. In a 5th-floor window of the building across from us, a figure was moving. He seemed to be looking outside. His movements were stiff, not quite like a living person's. I took out my flashlight and shone it over there. The figure immediately pulled back. Was it a survivor? Or were my eyes playing tricks on me? As I was thinking, a heated argument suddenly broke out in the stairwell. This is my spot. Bullshit. I got here first. Stop arguing. Keep it up and I'll throw you all down there. The argument turned into a fight. The sound of things smashing. The sound of fists hitting flesh. Women's screams all blended together. I was still debating whether to go out and take a look when Brother Chen's voice rang out. All of you, stop. The fighting stopped, but the cursing kept going. Everyone take a step back. We'll reassign the space. Brother Chen's voice carried real authority. Anyone who has a problem with it can go downstairs right now. The 4th floor is still empty. No one dared go down to the 4th floor. It was already flooded. The stairwell gradually quieted down, but everyone knew that calm wouldn't last long. Before dawn, I was woken up by a strange sound. Glug glug. It sounded like water coming to a boil. I got up and listened. The sound was coming from the bathroom. When I pushed the door open, I saw water spilling out of the toilet. It wasn't clean water. It was dark brown sewage, and it reeked. The sewer was completely clogged and had started backing up. I quickly stuffed towels into the toilet and sealed it with tape. But sewage still came gushing up from the floor drain and the sink drain. The entire bathroom was soon flooded with sewage. The stench was overwhelming. All I could do was shut the bathroom door and seal every gap with tape. That was only a temporary fix. The sewage would overflow sooner or later. Worse, without a bathroom, how were we supposed to handle our basic needs from now on? After daybreak, I realized it wasn't just my unit. The sewer system for the entire building had failed. The stairwell reeked. Some people started using plastic bags, then throwing them out the window. Civility and dignity sounded laughably hollow in the face of survival. We couldn't wait any longer. Brother Chen called us together for a meeting. We had to speed things up. We had to finish building the shelter on the roof. But we don't have enough materials. Old Lee looked deeply worried. Then we'll go find some. Brother Chen looked out at the still rising water, though it was rising more slowly now. While we can still move, we'll gather as much as we can. Where are we supposed to look? Brother Chen pointed at the building across from us. There? Everyone fell silent. Going to the building across the way meant crossing more than 20 meters of floodwater. In that raging current, it was basically suicide. I'll go. Achiang stood up. I'm a strong swimmer. I'll go too. I said it wasn't because I was brave, but because I knew there was a building materials shop in the building across from us. If we were lucky, we could find a lot of useful things. It's too dangerous, Zhao Mei said worriedly. Not going is even more dangerous. Brother Chen said. Xiao Chen, do you have any rope? Yes. Nylon rope. It's very sturdy. Then it's settled. We move tomorrow morning when the rain lets up. That night, I tossed and turned, unable to sleep. Tomorrow's mission was almost certain death, but staying put and waiting to die was even more terrifying. Rain was still coming down outside. The city was slowly dying, and we were still fighting to survive. Before dawn on the 4th day, the rain finally eased up a little. Akyang and I stood at the 5th floor window, watching the muddy floodwater below. The current was fierce, carrying all kinds of debris roaring past. The refrigerator spun in the water and slammed into the building with a crash. In an instant, it was torn to pieces. Are we still going? Akyang swallowed hard. We are. I wrapped the rope around my waist 3 times. Hold it from this side. I'll go first and check the way. Honestly, my legs were shaking, but there was no turning back now. Brother Chen patted my shoulder. If you can't do it, come back. Nothing matters more than staying alive. I know. I took a deep breath and climbed out the window. The floodwater was freezing cold and soaked through my clothes in an instant. I gritted my teeth and swam hard toward the building across from us. The current was stronger than I expected. I had barely swum 2 meters when a wave crashed over me and shoved me straight underwater. Muddy sewage rushed into my nose and mouth. The smell nearly made me throw up right then and there. Hold on! Akiang shouted from behind me. I clutched the rope with all my strength. I forced myself forward with sheer strength. It was only 20 meters. The pool, that would have been easy. Now it felt like crossing the Yangtze River. A wooden plank flew past, grazing my head. If it had hit me dead on, I would have passed out right there. At last, I grabbed the security bars on the opposite building. I made it! I shouted back. Akiang waved excitedly. Then he tied the rope to the window frame. With the rope as a guide, things would be much easier after that. I climbed into the 5th floor. The place was a complete mess. Furniture was knocked over everywhere. The floor was covered in silt. The apartment was empty. People who lived there had either run off at some point or they couldn't run anymore. I didn't dare think about it. I headed straight downstairs to the building materials shop on the 4th floor. It was underwater, and the rolling shutter door was wide open. I dove down and felt around, finding several bundles of wire and a box of expansion screws. There were also some waterproofing materials. The biggest find was a bundle of foam boards, perfect for making floats. I tied everything together and dragged it back to the 5th floor with a lot of effort. Akiang was already getting anxious on the other side. When he saw I had made it back safely, he let out a long breath. "Come back, quick, something's happening." I swam back along the rope. As soon as I climbed through the window, I heard a commotion upstairs. Robbery? Someone on the 6th floor was hiding supplies, and they were breaking down the door. Akiang and I exchanged a look, dropped our things, and ran upstairs. The 6th floor was already a complete mess. A dozen or so people were gathered outside 603. Some were kicking the door, while others were prying at the lock with sticks. "Don't come in," Akiang's wife Xiaomei cried from inside. "Please, don't break down the door. If they won't open it, just smash it down. Why do you get food while the rest of us starve?" Ken and old Li tried to stop them, but they were outnumbered and both got hurt. I rushed over. "What's it to you? Get out of the way." A man with a tough, fleshy face turned around. "That's my friend's home." "Friend?" the man sneered. "You still think friends matter now? If you've got food, sharing it with everyone is what makes you a friend." The crowd shouted that food should be shared, demanding to know why they got to hide it. "Open up. We're all neighbors. Are you really going to watch us die?" The irony was, I'd heard those same words 2 days ago, when someone said them to me. Akiang pushed through the crowd and stood in front of the door to protect it. "Anyone who touches my wife is going to answer to me." The tough-faced man pulled out a fruit knife. "Answer to you? Come on then." The tension shot up in an instant. Just then, a voice rang out. "What are you all doing?" The crowd parted. Brother Lu from the 4th floor walked up. I knew him. He ran a scrap collection business. He usually seemed friendly enough, but deep down he was ruthless. "Brother Lu, they're hiding supplies and won't share with everyone," the tough-faced man immediately complained. Brother Lu looked at us, then at the door. "How about this? We're all neighbors, so let's keep things peaceful. Bring out half of what you have, and you can keep the rest." "Why should we?" Akiang snapped. Just then, 4 or 5 burly men stepped out from behind Brother Lu, all holding weapons. Looks like he'd come prepared. Chen stepped forward. "Boss Liu, don't push people too far." "Chen, I respect you as a real man." Brother Lu gave a cold smile. "You know better than I do what things are like right now. Either hand over half." He didn't finish, but the threat was obvious. Xiaomei was crying inside. "Give it to them. Akiang, give it to them." Akiang gritted his teeth, his fists clenched so tight they cracked. "Open the door." I patted his shoulder. "As long as we're alive, we still have a chance." The door opened. Brother Lu's men rushed in and tore through the cabinets. They found 2 boxes of instant noodles, a bag of rice, and a few bottles of water. "That's it?" the burly man said, clearly unhappy. "That's really all we have," Xiaomei said through tears. "Search if you want." They searched again, but sure enough, they didn't find anything else. Half. With a wave of his hand, Brother Lu had his men carry away 1 box of instant noodles and half the bag of rice. He gave me a meaningful look. "You're Xiao Chen, right? I hear you've got plenty of supplies over there." My heart sank. We were in serious trouble. After Brother Lu left, the crowd scattered too. But everyone knew this was only the beginning. "I'm sorry," Xiaomei sobbed. "I was careless and cooked noodles by the window. Someone saw me." "It's not your fault," Brother Chen comforted her. "It was bound to happen sooner or later." 6 of us gathered together, the mood heavy. "What do we do?" Old Li asked Brother Chen. "Those people are clearly organized. We have to fight back," Akiang said through gritted teeth. "Don't be reckless," Brother Chen said, stopping him. "If we take them head on, we'll be at a disadvantage. We need another way." "What way?" Brother Chen looked at me. "Xiao Chen, what did you bring back from across the way just now?" "Some building materials, plus some foam boards. Is it enough to make a raft?" Everyone froze. "Brother Chen, you mean we should prepare for the worst?" Brother Chen's expression turned serious. Brother Lu won't just let this go, and once the others get a taste of it, they'll follow his lead. Instead of sitting here waiting to die, we should go there, Xiao Lu asked. Brother Chen pointed out the window. I've been watching. About 2 kilometers north, there's a high spot where the old city government used to be. The ground there is high, so it probably isn't flooded. 2 kilometers. Drifting 2 kilometers through floodwater. The plan was so insane it felt hopeless. We prepare first. Brother Chen made the call. Best case, we won't have to leave. If it really came to that, we secretly started preparing that night. I was in charge of designing the raft structure. Foam boards for the base, empty water bottles for extra buoyancy, and wooden planks for the frame. We tied it all together with rope. In theory, it could carry 3 or 4 people. Akyang and Old Li were in charge of gathering materials. Under cover of night, they slipped into several homes whose owners had fled. They found quite a few plastic bottles and pieces of wood. Xiao Mei tore the bedsheets at home into strips. They could be used as rope. Xiao Liu might not have much stamina, but he's sharp. He helped me calculate the weight capacity and balance. At 3 in the morning, the first raft was finished. It was rough, but it could float. We needed to make 2 more. Chen said it was better to be safe than sorry. Just before dawn, a scream suddenly came from the stairwell. We rushed out to see what was going on. We saw someone lying by the 2nd floor stairs with a knife in his stomach. Blood was all over the floor. What happened? I just wanted something to eat, the man said, his voice breaking up. Someone on the 3rd floor was hiding food. Before he could finish, he died. The hallway went dead silent. Everyone realized things had completely spun out of control. People were starting to hurt each other over 1 bite of food. Go back inside. Brother Lu's voice came from downstairs. Anyone who dares hide supplies will end up like this. A chill ran through my whole body. Not because someone was dead, because I suddenly understood why Brother Lu was doing this. He was showing his power, using fear to control everyone. He was turning the entire building into his kingdom. And those of us with supplies were the ones he planned to get rid of. Back in the apartment, Chen said quietly, "If we wait any longer, it'll be too late." Everyone nodded. Instead of waiting to be butchered, we might as well risk it all. Outside the window, the rain picked up again. Water level was already closing in on the 5th floor, and the whole city was about to be swallowed up. Humanity had already sunk long before that. On the 5th day, things suddenly took a turn for the worse. When I woke up that morning, I smelled a terrible stench. It wasn't just a normal bad smell. It was the nauseating stink of rot. I pushed the door open. The sight in the hallway made me gasp. Trash and human waste were everywhere. With the sewers out, people could only use plastic bags and toss them into the hallway. Flies buzzed everywhere. Maggots squirmed in the filth. Worse yet, someone had gotten sick. A retching sound came from the 3rd floor. Then came a weak groan. I covered my nose and went down to take a look. I saw a middle-aged man curled up on the stair landing. His face was yellow and sickly, and he kept vomiting yellow bile. On the floor beside him was a foul, fishy puddle of waste. "Sir, what's wrong?" He weakly lifted his head. "Water. Give me water." I hesitated for a moment. Then I went back and got him a bottle of water. He took it and gulped it down. After just 2 sips, he threw it back up. "He must have drunk dirty water," someone nearby said. "I saw him cook noodles with rainwater yesterday, and he didn't even boil it." "Serves him right," someone else spat. At a time like this, he still didn't know to be careful. No one's going to help him. Everyone was afraid of catching it. I quickly left too. In a place like this, getting sick was basically a death sentence. When I got back to the 6th floor, Chen was handing out medicine to everyone. "I've got norfloxacin for diarrhea." He pulled out a blister pack of pills. "Use it sparingly. 2 pills per person. I've got cold medicine and fever reducers." Xiao Mei also handed hers over. "Keep everything stored away," Chen reminded us. "Don't let anyone see it." Before he could finish, there was a knock at the door. "Open up. Neighborhood committee." "There's still a neighborhood committee at a time like this?" Chen motioned for us to hide the medicine, then went to open the door. Liu was standing outside, with a skinny man wearing a red armband beside him. "Chen, this is our newly formed self-rescue committee," Liu said with a big smile. "I'm the director, in charge of managing and distributing supplies." "Self-appointed director? What do you want?" Chen asked coldly. "Someone in the building is sick and urgently needs medicine," the skinny man said. "Every household with medicine has to turn it in for centralized distribution. We don't have any medicine. Search the place." Liu waved his hand. Several men tried to barge in. Chen blocked the doorway. "Boss Liu, isn't this going too far?" "Too far?" Liu sneered. "This building is about to become a morgue. If we don't take control, everyone will die. If you know what's good for you, cooperate. Otherwise..." Suddenly, a commotion broke out downstairs. "Someone's dead." Someone died on the 3rd floor. Liu's expression changed. He had no time to search and hurried downstairs with his men. We followed them downstairs to see what was going on. The patient from earlier had already stopped breathing. The body was still curled up, eyes wide open. "Throw him out," someone shouted. "Throw him where?" "Out the window." "That's too cruel. So we just keep him here and wait to get infected?" In the middle of the argument, Brother Lu spoke up. "Take him to the roof. There's airflow up there, so it won't spread. He looked around at everyone. From now on, anyone who gets sick gets sent to the roof to isolate. The crowd exploded as soon as he said that. Isn't that basically a death sentence? There's nothing on the roof. How is a sick person supposed to survive? What, leave them in the hallway? Brother Liu glared. So we can all die together? No one dared argue back. Two strong men lifted the body and headed for the roof. As they passed by, I saw the dead man's fingernails were black, with vomit still at the corner of his mouth. This was only the beginning. That afternoon, 3 more people started showing symptoms. Vomiting, diarrhea, fever. Classic acute gastroenteritis. It's the water, Xiaomei said anxiously. Rainwater looks clean, but it's mixed with floodwater. It's full of bacteria. And what do we do? Old Li asked. It has to be boiled. Filtering it first would be even better, Xiaomei said. I saw people drinking rainwater straight from the source. Some people were using rainwater to wash their wounds. That was basically asking to die. Knowing that didn't change anything. There was no fuel and no clean containers. Many people had no choice but to grit their teeth and drink untreated water. By evening, the number of sick people had risen to 7. Brother Liu organized people to carry them all up to the roof. Anyone who resisted was knocked out and dragged away. Please, I can still hold on. A woman sobbed and begged. For everyone's safety, you have to be isolated, Brother Liu said coldly. As the woman was dragged away, I don't want to die, she cried out, but no one dared make a sound. Everyone knew what being sent to the roof meant. No shelter, no care, just waiting to die in the pouring rain. Bastards, Akiang said through gritted teeth. Quiet? Brother Chen stopped him. Don't cause trouble. We're leaving tonight. After night fell, faint groans drifted down from the roof. Rain beat against the sheet metal with sharp, constant taps. Every so often, a weak cry for help mixed in. Help! Someone, please save me! I'm so cold. Mom, I want to go home. Those voices drifted through the hallway like ghosts. It made your skin crawl. In the second half of the night, the voices slowly faded away. I couldn't tell if they had fallen asleep or if they would never wake up again. Chen gathered us together. We have to leave now. But it's still raining outside, Xiao Liu said worriedly. Chen pointed downstairs. Haven't you noticed? The ones getting sick are the elderly, the weak, and the people without stored food. Why? Everyone looked at each other. Because they have nothing to eat, so they can only drink untreated water and dig through trash. Chen lowered his voice. We have food stored up, so we can still hold out for now. Brother Liu won't let us off. Akiang clenched his fists. Would he dare? Is there anything he wouldn't dare do? Chen gave a cold laugh. If he gets us sick and sends us to the roof, he'll have a perfectly good excuse. By then, our supplies will be his without question. Everyone understood. Pack up. Take everything you can, Chen ordered. Lower the rafts first, then the people. Move fast and keep quiet. We started moving. We lowered the rafts out the window with ropes. They made a big splash when they hit the water. Luckily, the rain was loud enough to cover the noise. Women go first, Chen said. Xiaomei held a backpack filled with medicine and a little food. Her face was pale, but she still bravely climbed out the window. Qiang was below to help her. 2 of them got onto the first raft. The raft rocked in the current, and just watching it made my heart race. It finally steadied. Next. Just then, footsteps came from outside the door. Someone's there, Xiao Liu said nervously. I pressed my ear to the door and listened. There were at least 3 or 4 people outside. This is the place. I saw them acting sneaky during the day. Are they Brother Liu's men knocking? Wait, listen first. None of us dared make a sound. Chen gestured for old Li and Xiao Liu to keep climbing down. He picked up an iron rod and got ready to fight. Looks like no one's knocking. Check again. There was a click. It was the sound of someone picking the lock. Chen suddenly yanked the door open. The iron rod smashed straight into the head of the man at the front. Ah! The man screamed and collapsed. Go, now! Chen blocked the doorway. Everyone get down there. I grabbed my backpack and jumped out the window. The icy floodwater swallowed me instantly. I choked on several mouthfuls of water before I finally surfaced. Old Li pulled me onto the raft. Xiao Liu was already on another raft. Where's Brother Chen? I'm here. Brother Chen jumped down from the window. His arms were covered in blood. Hurry, they're coming after us. Brother Liu's men were leaning out the window, sweeping their flashlights around. They ran. They got away. Tell Brother Liu, now. We paddled with everything we had, and the rafts rocked wildly in the current. A wave crashed into us and nearly flipped the raft. Hold steady. Everyone stay low, Brother Chen shouted. The rain pounded my face so hard it stung, and I couldn't see a thing. I could only paddle forward by feel. I don't know how long we drifted. Then the raft slammed into something with a loud bang. It's a building. We hit a building. In a flash of lightning, I saw it was an office building. Water only reached a little above the second floor. It should be safe. Get up there. Hurry. We struggled through a second-floor window, collapsed on the floor, and gasped for air. We made it. Is everyone okay for now? Brother Chen checked on everyone. I think I have a fever, Xiao Liu said weakly. By the flashlight's glow, we saw that his face was flushed. His forehead was covered in sweat. This is bad. In a place like this, a fever is basically a death sentence. Xiao Mei quickly searched through her backpack. She had fever reducers and antibiotics. Xiao Lu swallowed the pills with trembling hands. Everyone fell silent. We had escaped hell on earth, but we still couldn't escape disease. Outside the window, the rain was still falling. The city was already beyond saving, and we were barely hanging on. On the 6th day, Xiao Liu's fever broke, but he was so weak he could barely stand. He found a conference room in the abandoned office building and settled in. There was some broken office furniture inside, and at least it could shield us from the wind and rain. We're almost out of water. Old Li checked the supplies. We only have enough food for 2 days. The rain outside had eased up a lot, but the flood was still raging. Looking out the window, the entire city was submerged in a muddy yellow-brown sea. We have to go out and look for supplies, Brother Chen said. Where are we supposed to look? Ah Qiang asked. Brother Chen pointed into the distance. There's a mall over there. It's a tall building. The upper floors probably aren't flooded. The mall is about 500 meters away from us. But in this flood, those 500 meters might as well be an impossible gap. The raft won't hold up anymore. We checked it. The foam boards are loose, and the rope is about to snap. Then we'll swim, Brother Chen said. Leave 2 people to take care of Xiao Liu. The rest of you come with me. In the end, Xiao Mei and Lao Li stayed behind, while Brother Chen, Ah Qiang, and I set out. Water was freezing. We hadn't swum far before we started shivering. Even worse were all the things floating in the water. Plastic bags wrapped around our legs, wooden planks slammed into our heads, and soft mushy things brushed against our bodies. Things we didn't dare think too hard about. Halfway there, Ah Qiang suddenly screamed. What happened? Something bit me. He thrashed around wildly, and a dark shape flashed past underwater. It's a dog, Brother Chen shouted. Swim! The big dog was struggling in the water, crazed with hunger and biting anything it saw. Ah Qiang had been bitten on the calf, and blood was pouring out. We swam desperately to the mall and climbed in through the shattered glass doors. The entire first floor of the mall was underwater, with the escalators submerged. We held onto the wall and made our way up. The scene on the 2nd floor was shocking. People were everywhere. More accurately, refugees. Men, women, old and young were all packed together. The air reeked of sweat, urine, and rot. When they saw us come in, dozens of eyes turned toward us all at once. New here? A bald man walked over, with a blue dragon tattooed on his arm. Just passing through, looking for some food, Brother Chen said. The bald man looked us up and down. You know the rules here? What rules? Newcomers have to pay protection money. The bald man held out his hand. Food, supplies, hand over whatever you've got. And if we don't? 7 or 8 burly men stood up behind him, all holding weapons. This again. Brother Chen was about to speak, but Ah Qiang couldn't hold back. Protection money, my ass. He swung a punch. Bald man couldn't dodge in time and took the hit squarely. Get them. Place instantly erupted into chaos. Ah Qiang was a fitness coach after all. Once he got serious, he dropped 2 of them in just a few moves. They had the numbers, and soon they had the upper hand. Stop. Commanding voice rang out. The crowd parted, and a man in his 50s stepped out. He had a square face and an impressive presence. Boss Wang. The bald man immediately became respectful. Boss Wang looked us over. New friends, don't take it personally. Times are hard for everyone right now. He glared at the bald man. Apologize. The bald man reluctantly muttered, sorry. Let's talk upstairs. Boss Wang made a welcoming gesture. We followed him up to the 3rd floor. This was clearly the nicer area. Fewer people, and it's cleaner too. Sit. Boss Wang pointed to the sofa. My name is Wang Jiangguo. I used to run the supermarket here. Where did you come from? Brother Chen briefly explained what happened, and Wang Jiangguo nodded. I know Boss Liu. He's ruthless. It wasn't easy for you to escape. Boss Wang controls the mall? Wouldn't call it control. Wang Jiangguo gave a bitter smile. Everyone just picked me to manage things. There are more than 300 people here. Food, water, sanitation, all of it is a problem. What about supplies? The supermarket on the 4th floor still has some stock, but with over 300 mouths to feed, it won't last long. He looked out the window. If the rain doesn't stop and rescue still doesn't come, he didn't need to finish. We all understood. You can stay, Wang Jiangguo said. You have to follow the rules and help with the work. What kind of work? Gathering supplies and keeping order. And, he paused, handling the bodies. Bodies? Only then did I notice that even though there were a lot of people in the mall, there were very few elderly people or children. Some died from illness, some from hunger, and some were beaten to death, Wang Jiangguo said in a low voice. It happens every day. If we don't deal with them quickly, there'll be an outbreak. How do you deal with them? Wang Jiangguo pointed out the window. Throw them down. Crude, but effective. We need medicine. Brother Chen said one of our guys was hurt. Medicine is hard currency, Wang Jiangguo said, shaking his head. Unless what? There's a pharmacy on the 4th floor, but another group has taken it over. Wang Jiangguo lowered his voice. Their leader is called Bazi. He has more than 20 men under him, all desperate criminals. Another turf war. They don't listen to you? No one here listens to anyone. Wang Jiangguo said with a bitter smile. It's just a temporary balance. They hold the pharmacy, and we control the supermarket. We stay out of each other's way. Can we negotiate? Negotiate? Wang Jiangguo gave a cold laugh. Yesterday, someone traded a Rolex for 10 antibiotic pills. What do you have to trade? He exchanged uneasy looks. We had been in such a rush to escape. Aside from a little food, we hadn't brought anything valuable. There is one way. Wang Jiangguo looked at us. Do something for me. What is it? There's a jewelry store on the 5th floor. The stuff inside could be traded for a lot of supplies. At that place? He stopped himself before finishing. What's wrong with that place? It's haunted. Someone beside him cut in. Several groups went there and never came back. What kind of ghost? Chen frowned. I don't know, Wang Jiangguo said. Some people said they heard strange noises. Others said they saw a dark figure. Either way, no one who went there ever came back. Superstition. But in a situation like this, people would rather believe it might be true. We'll go take a look, Chen said. Are you serious? Wang Jiangguo's eyes lit up. Have the medicine ready first. We checked our gear. Each of us took an iron rod. We also found a few flashlights. The 5th floor was quiet, eerily quiet. Shops lined both sides of the hallway, their doors wide open and the insides a mess. It looked like they had already been looted. The jewelry store was at the very end, and its glass door was completely intact. Strange, Aqiang said. Every other store was smashed up. Why is this one fine? It really was strange. I pushed on the door. It was locked, and we couldn't pry it open, Chen said. Aqiang pried at it with the iron rod a few times, and the lock popped open. A foul stench rushed out at us. We shone the flashlights inside and saw several bodies sprawled across the floor. From the look of them, they had been dead for a while. Some of the bodies had already started to rot. So these are the people who never came back. How did they die? I crouched down to check. There were no obvious wounds on the bodies. Poisoning. Ken pointed to the corner. There was a gas cylinder there, with its valve open. Someone did this on purpose. I got it. They lured people in, then released poison gas. Who would do something this vile? As soon as he said that, we heard a door close behind us. We turned around and saw a small, skinny figure standing in the doorway. It was a woman in her 30s, wearing a mall sales clerk uniform. Are you here to steal things too? Us? She suddenly screamed and raised a lighter in her hand. You all deserve to die. Gas. She was going to light the gas. Don't do anything rash, Chen said, slowly moving closer. Don't come any closer, the woman screamed hysterically. This is my store. I used to own it. We're not robbers, I tried to explain. Liars. You're all liars, she sobbed and shouted. My husband went out looking for food, and they beat him to death. My daughter starved to death. It was all you. You did this to them. My husband and daughter are already dead. Calm down. We can help you. The woman let out a bitter laugh. It's too late. It's all too late. Let's all die together. She pressed the lighter. Click. Chen lunged forward and snatched the lighter away. The woman screamed, clawing and biting, until Aqiang pinned her down. Why won't you let me die? Why? She went limp, clutching her head as she sobbed. He shut off the gas cylinder. He opened the windows to air the place out. What now? Aqiang asked. Take her downstairs first, Chen said, and we helped the woman downstairs. She no longer resisted. She just kept crying. Wang Jiangguo was surprised to see us come back safely. Was there really a ghost? No, it wasn't a ghost. I told him what had happened. Wang Jiangguo sighed. Another poor soul. This world has driven everyone mad. What about the medicine you promised? Here. He took out a small bottle of antibiotics. Use it sparingly. He thanked him and left. Back on the 2nd floor, the woman was placed in a corner. Someone gave her some water and food. She refused everything and just sat there in a daze. There are more and more people like her, an old man beside us said. They lose their families, break down, and go mad. He made a slicing motion across his throat. At night, we took turns keeping watch. Near dawn, the woman suddenly stood up and walked to the window. Don't. I tried to stop her, but it was too late. She threw herself out and vanished into the dark floodwater. There wasn't even a splash. I stood frozen by the window, overwhelmed by feelings I couldn't put into words. This was the end of the world. People weren't dying from the flood or from hunger, but from despair. At daybreak, 2 more bodies were thrown from the building. One was an old man who had starved to death, and the other was a child who had died from illness. People still alive had gone numb. This couldn't keep going on. Ben said we had to find a way to save ourselves. How? Old Lee said hopelessly. With the water this high, where could we even go? Build a boat. I blurted it out, and everyone looked at me. There's plenty of material in the mall. We can build a big boat. The more I talked, the more excited I got. Use plastic barrels as pontoons. Use wooden planks for the hull. If it's strong enough, it could carry dozens of people. Where would we take it? The higher ground up north, or straight downstream. We'd find somewhere that wasn't flooded. Hope, no matter how slim, was still hope. Let's do it. Aqiang was the first to respond, and Old Lee agreed too. Zhao Mei said, It's better than sitting here waiting to die. Chen nodded. Then let's do it. But we keep it secret. We can't let too many people know. One look at all those desperate eyes around us said enough. Once they knew there was a boat, they would fight for it at any cost. Then, none of us would be able to leave. And survival was on the line. Humanity was the least valuable thing of all. On the seventh day, the boat-building plan quietly began. We found a secluded storeroom and started gathering materials. Plastic barrels, foam boxes, wooden planks, rope. We moved over anything we could use. This won't work, I said as I drew the plans. There's not enough buoyancy, and the load capacity is too low. Then what do? I thought of something. Does the mall have inflatable swimming pools? I think the sporting goods store does, Xiao Mei said. Great. Use the inflatable pool as the base, and tie plastic barrels to the stern for extra buoyancy. Lay wooden planks on top. In theory, it could carry 20 people. Everyone threw themselves into the work. When you see hope in the middle of despair, even the faintest hope is worth fighting for. But no secret stays hidden forever. That afternoon, Wang Jiangguo came looking for us. I heard you're building a boat. Chen said nothing. Relax. Wang Jiangguo smiled. I'm not here to stop you. Actually, I want in. I have more than 300 people. I can't save them, he said bitterly. But we still have to give some people a chance. We need more people. I have people. How about we work together? Chen Gi thought it over for a moment, then said, all right. The boat can only carry 30 people at most. That's enough. I'll pick some strong, able-bodied people. As for the elderly, the weak, the sick, and the disabled, he didn't finish. But what he meant was obvious. It was a cruel choice. With more people helping, things moved much faster. But trouble came with it. Why do they get to board the boat? You want to leave too. This isn't fair. Once the news got out, the crowd was furious. Wang Jiangguo stood on the steps. The boat is small, and there are too many people. We can't all leave. Anyone willing to stay will get priority access to supplies. I guarantee it. Bullshit. How many days can those supplies last? Exactly. We all want to stay alive. The situation grew more and more chaotic. Suddenly, a brick flew out of the crowd and hit Wang Jiangguo square in the forehead. Blood poured out. Someone's been killed. Everything fell into complete chaos. People started looting supplies and smashing up shops. Some used the chaos to get revenge, while others took advantage of it to grab the boat. Chen Gei shouted. We rushed toward the warehouse. It was already too late. A group of people were tearing the boat apart and fighting over the materials. Stop. No one listened. Akiang charged forward and swung an iron rod at one of them. The others immediately fought back. In the brawl, someone knocked over an oil drum, and it caught fire. The flames spread fast. The dry wood, plastic, and foam were all highly flammable. Thick smoke billowed everywhere, choking us so badly we could barely open our eyes. Run. People scattered in every direction. They trampled and shoved each other. Screams rang out one after another. I grabbed Xiao Mei and ran outside, with flames shooting up behind us. After finally making it to the second floor, we realized someone was missing. Where's Zhao Liu? Damn it, he's still on the third floor. Xiao Liu was already weak. There was no way he could make it over. I rushed back into the fire. The smoke was so thick I couldn't see a thing. Xiao Liu, cough cough. I'm here. Following the sound of his voice, I found him. He had collapsed by the stairwell, half dead from the smoke. I pulled him up and ran. The flames roared behind us. Finally, we burst out of the fire. Both of us were covered in soot. Thank you, Xiao Liu said weakly. The fire kept spreading, turning the whole mall into a giant torch. People were packed on the second floor, trapped with nowhere to go. Fire above us, water below. Jump, someone shouted in despair. Jumping down means dying too. Burn or drown. Pick one. They'd lost their minds. All of them. People started jumping from the building. One after another, they dropped like dumplings into the water. Ken grabbed someone who was about to jump. The current is too strong. If you jump, you're dead. Then what? Just wait here and burn to death? Smoke kept getting thicker. Some people had already suffocated and collapsed. I suddenly remembered there was a water tank on the roof. We could take shelter there for a while. There was still a chance. Everyone swarmed toward the stairs, shoving and trampling each other. Another wave of screams rang out. We supported each other and struggled upward. The stairwell was full of smoke. Every step felt like hell. Finally, we reached the roof. More than 100 people were crammed onto the small rooftop. Below us, flames raged and thick smoke shot into the sky. It's over. It's completely over. Old Lee collapsed onto the ground. The boat was gone, the supplies were gone, and now even our shelter was gone. We're going to die sooner or later. Might as well make it quick. A man stood at the edge of the roof. He looked back with a bitter smile. In this screwed-up world, what's the point of staying alive? Then he leapt. It was like opening a floodgate. One after another, people jumped. Enough, Chen roared. All of you, calm the hell down. A woman screamed hysterically. My child starved to death. My husband died of illness. Now I'm going to burn to death. Do you want me to calm down? She jumped too. Despair spread like a disease. Living needed a reason. Dying didn't. Look, what's that? Xiao Mei suddenly pointed into the distance. A faint engine sound came from the darkness. It's a boat. A boat is coming. A rescue boat came into view. Then came a second one. The third one was the rescue team. The rooftop burst into sobs and cheers. Some people dropped to their knees and bowed their heads to the ground. Some held their heads and cried their eyes out. We had survived the disaster. Here! We're over here! People waved and shouted with all their might. The rescue boat moved closer to the mall. Rescuers shouted through a megaphone. Stay calm. We're coming up right now. A rope ladder was lowered. Rescuers climbed up onto the rooftop. How many people are still here? 123. Wang Jianguo held the wound on his head. He was actually still alive. Evacuating groups. The elderly and women go first. Order returned like a miracle. People who had just been fighting each other to the death now lined up obediently. Civilization came back to life in the face of hope. Then, it was our turn. You all together? The rescuer asked. Yes, Brother Chen said. 6 of us boarded and sat down in the rescue boat. As we watched the ruined mall fade into the distance, it felt like a lifetime ago. 7 days. Just 7 days. A modern city had turned into hell on earth. Where are we going? I asked the rescuer. Temporary shelter. The stadium. He said it was on higher ground, with government-organized rescue efforts there. Government. How long had it been since I'd heard that word? How are things in other places? The rescuer was quiet for a moment. Not great. The rain was just too heavy. More than half the province is flooded. It'll get better, right? Xiaomei asked hopefully. It will. He said the rain had already stopped. Only then did I notice. It really wasn't raining anymore. Dark clouds parted a little, revealing sunlight we hadn't seen in ages. The water shimmered like scattered gold, so beautiful it made you want to cry. Rescue boat moved through the ruins. I thought the worst was over, until I saw what the whole city really looked like. Ruins were everywhere, and high-rises had collapsed like stacks of blocks. Cars were piled up like mountains. Trees had been ripped out by the roots. Furniture floated on the water, along with things I didn't want to think about. Don't look, a rescuer said. But how could I not look? This was the city I'd lived in for over 30 years. Now it was completely unrecognizable. All the familiar landmarks were gone. Central Square had turned into a lake. Pedestrian Street had become a river. My building materials market was probably gone too. How many survivors are there? Chen asked. Hard to say, the rescuer said, shaking his head. They're too spread out. Some are hiding in high-rises. Some are trapped on higher ground. We save as many as we can. As we passed an office building, people on the roof were waving red cloths, waiting to be rescued. The captain said over the radio, mark the location first. We'll come back later. Get this group to safety first. So we're just leaving them to die? Seeing our confusion, the rescuer explained, the boat is small. If we overload it, it'll capsize. We have to take people in batches. It was a cruel but reasonable choice. After another half hour, the water level began to drop. The 3rd and 4th floors of some buildings started to show above the water. You could see figures moving behind the windows. We're almost there. A stretch of higher ground appeared in the distance. It was the teachers' college. Even so, the closer we got, the heavier my heart felt. The shore was packed with people. Cries, calls for help, and arguments all blended together. Temporary tents had been set up, stretching as far as the eye could see. So many people. Xiaomei sucked in a sharp breath. This is only part of them, the rescuer said. The ones who made it here are the lucky ones. The assault boat reached the shore. Staff immediately came over to register our names, ages, and former addresses. Any fever, diarrhea, or vomiting? Go over there to pick up supplies. 1 portion per person. No fighting over them. Understood? When our turn came, we got 1 bottle of water, 2 steamed buns, and a pack of pickled mustard greens. That was all. Akyung frowned. Be grateful. Woman handing out supplies said, there are tens of thousands of people here. We're lucky to have anything to eat at all. She was right. Everywhere we looked, there were crowds of people. Men, women, children, and the elderly were all dressed in rags, their eyes empty. We found an open spot and sat down. The ground was wet, but no one cared. What do we do next? Lao Li asked. No one answered. We had survived. But what now? Our homes were gone. Our belongings were gone. Many people had even lost their loved ones. Things will get better, Xiaomei said, trying to comfort everyone. The government will make arrangements. But one look around made it clear the government could only do so much. With a disaster this huge and so many victims, it was already a miracle things had not completely fallen apart. By nightfall, things got worse. There weren't enough tents, so most people had to sleep out in the open. The temperature dropped fast, and a light rain started falling again. Move closer. Everyone squeeze in. Stop pushing. Push any harder and I'll fall into the water. Who stole my blanket? In the chaos, the arguments kept getting worse. You outsiders are taking up our space. Bullshit. You're still dividing people into locals and outsiders in the middle of a disaster? Of course we are. This is our city. Tensions between locals and outsiders erupted. The locals felt outsiders were taking their resources, while the outsiders felt they were being discriminated against. Shoving quickly turned into fights. Stop it. Everyone, stop. There simply weren't enough people to keep order. The chaos spread like wildfire. Some people took the chance to steal, while others used the confusion to their advantage. Protect your things, Chen said, suddenly alert. But it was too late. Lao Li's bag had been snatched, and everything he owned was inside. Forget it, I said, holding him back. You won't get it back. Lao Li slumped down. Tears streamed down his aged face. That was my wife's photo. The last one I had. But stories like his were everywhere here. Thousands upon thousands of them. In the second half of the night, the unrest eased a little. People were tired. Everyone was tired. I leaned against Chen, listening to the crying, coughing, and groaning around me. I couldn't sleep. Chen, what kind of disaster is this? He smoked a cigarette butt he had picked up. Heaven loses its temper, and we suffer for it. Why? There is no why. He smiled bitterly. It's like asking why a flood comes. It just comes. Silence. Do you regret it? He suddenly asked. If we hadn't escaped back then, would we not have to suffer like this? I thought about it. No, I don't regret it. At least we tried. I flicked away the cigarette butt. As long as we're alive, there's still hope. The word hope felt like such a luxury here. At daybreak, the broadcast came on. Attention, all disaster victims. Breakfast is now being handed out. Please line up in order. The medical station is in the East Zone. If you're sick or injured, please get treated as soon as possible. Missing person notices can be posted on the bulletin board. Order was slowly being restored. We waited in line for an hour and got watery porridge and pickled vegetables. It was so thin you could see your reflection in it. But it was hot, so we were grateful. Chen said, think about it. A week ago, who would have thought we'd be drinking hot porridge? He was right. As I drank the porridge, I thought about the people who had jumped, drowned, or burned to death. They had been so close to surviving. Just that close. Look, Xiao Mei pointed into the distance. A helicopter flew past. It was carrying a big cargo net filled with supplies. The crowd erupted. Supplies! Supplies are here! The helicopter didn't land. It flew farther away. Why aren't they giving them to us? We must have connections over there. This isn't fair. Complaints broke out all around. The truth was, everyone knew supplies were limited and had to go to the most critical places first. But knowing that was one thing. Accepting it was another. At noon, the sun came out. The sunlight we hadn't seen in so long felt warm on our skin. The water level was slowly dropping. More of some buildings started to show. The water is going down. Someone cheered. But an even bigger problem came with it. As the water receded, things were exposed in the mud, and the stench of corpses began to spread. They had to be dealt with quickly. The medical staff got busy. Otherwise, there would be an epidemic. That afternoon, they started recruiting volunteers. Healthy men were asked to help with cleanup. There was compensation. The compensation was extra food. All 6 of us signed up. The job was simple. Clear out the trash. Move the bodies. It was filthy, exhausting, and dangerous. For that little bit of food, everyone fought for the chance to do it. I was assigned to the transport team, and it was my first time being so close to so many dead bodies. My stomach was churning. After I threw up, I hurried back to work. The team leader had no expression on his face. We have to clear this area today, he said, moving bodies like a machine. We didn't think about who they were or what stories they had. They were just numbers. 1 body, 2 bodies, 3 bodies. By the time the sun started sinking west, I was already numb. That's it for today, the team leader said. Come back tomorrow to collect your subsidy. 2 steamed buns, a packet of pickled mustard, and a bottle of water. Twice the regular ration. It's worth it, Aqiang said, biting into a bun. Was it worth it? That night, I had nightmares. I dreamed those bodies came back to life, asking me why I was still alive. When I woke up with a start, I realized I wasn't the only one. A lot of people were crying, screaming, talking in their sleep. The living were going through hell too. It'll get better, Xiao Mei said softly. I didn't know who she was trying to comfort. It'll get better. Looking up at the sky full of stars, I felt for the first time how far away they were. Just like the life we used to have, which we could never go back to. On the 10th day, like a miracle, the rain finally stopped completely. The sun hung high, and the water level was dropping fast enough to see. It could go down more than a meter in a day. At this rate, we'll see the bottom in another week, Brother Chen said. But no one could feel happy about it. As the water receded, it revealed devastation everywhere. Mud covered everything. Houses had collapsed, cars were twisted out of shape, and trees lay scattered across the ground. The scariest part was the broadcasts calling for even more volunteers. Cleanup had to move faster. Broadcasts played several times a day, and more people signed up. Not for anything else, just for that extra ration. I stayed on the transport team. After these past few days, I had gotten used to it. Or maybe I had just gone numb. Today we're clearing Central Hospital, the team leader said. Prepare yourselves. The hospital was hit hard. A lot of people ran there back then. When we pushed open the doors to the emergency hall, the stench that hit us nearly made us pass out. What I saw inside is something I never want to see again. Hold on, the captain said, though the team leader himself was shaking. We rotated every hour. That 1 hour felt as long as a century. After we got out, everyone threw up. God damn it, someone sobbed, completely falling apart. No one tried to comfort him because everyone was on the edge of breaking down too. At noon, something unexpected happened. A volunteer got cut while moving supplies, and the wound touched sewage. 2 hours later, he started running a fever. Get him to the medical station, now. There was only so much the medical station could do. We were short on medicine, equipment, and staff. That night, the man died. Everyone wore gloves and covered their faces. The team leader announced that anyone who didn't listen would be responsible for whatever happened to them. Gloves and masks were more valuable than food. We wrapped strips of cloth around our hands. We tore up clothes to cover our faces. Brother Chen came up with an idea. It was crude, but it was better than nothing. On day 12, good news finally came. Higher-ups had sent a medical team, along with more supplies. Sure enough, that afternoon we saw a convoy drive in. Military trucks rolled in one after another. The number of distribution points increased to 10. Everyone could pick up basic daily necessities. The line stretched as far as the eye could see. It stayed orderly. Hope made people civil again. We got towels, soap, and disinfectant, and a clean change of clothes. We could finally take a shower. Xiaomei was so moved she almost cried. A long line formed in front of the temporary shower stalls. The water was cold, but no one cared. Washing off the grime from the past few days made my whole body feel lighter. It felt almost unreal. Qiang said, 10 days ago, who would have thought taking a shower could be a luxury? That night, bonfires were lit. Some people sang. Some people danced. Joy of surviving the disaster spread through the crowd. We really survived, Old Li murmured to himself. Yeah, Brother Chen said, lighting a cigarette. We survived. But what came next? Rebuilding our homes, a voice said over the broadcast. We will rebuild our homes. Rebuilding was easy to talk about. But looking at the ruins all around us, how long would that take? We will, Xiaomei said firmly. As long as people are still here, everything can be rebuilt. She was right. As long as people are here, there is hope. On day 15, the floodwater had mostly receded. The city's frame was exposed, scarred all over but still standing. They began counting and registering people and arranging temporary housing. We were assigned to a cluster of prefab shelters. There were 4 people to a room. It was basic, but it kept out the wind and rain. Much better than the stairwell, Old Li said with satisfaction. There are beds, blankets, and a roof. That's enough to be grateful for. Xiao Liu had recovered a little and started helping with the work too. I can't keep letting you all support me, he said, embarrassed. We're brothers, Qiang said, patting him on the shoulder. After going through life and death together, the word brother carried a different weight. On the 20th day, the market started coming back. First came peddlers calling out as they carried shoulder poles, then makeshift stalls. The prices were outrageous, but at least we could buy things again. Eggs, fresh eggs, vegetables, greens, radishes. Civilization was coming back, little by little. I used the money I'd saved from odd jobs to buy a few eggs, boiled them, and shared them with everyone. So good, Xiao Liu said, moved to tears. It was just a boiled egg, but for people who had been through hell, it tasted like heaven. A month later, power was partially restored. The moment the lights came on, the whole settlement erupted. We've got power! We've got power! People held each other and cried. Light had never felt so precious. Someone turned on a TV to watch the news. The screen showed what was happening in other disaster-hit cities. It turned out it wasn't just us. The whole province, half the country, was going through the same suffering. They were rebuilding too. The central government allocated 100 billion for reconstruction, and aid supplies kept pouring in from across the country. Post-disaster reconstruction was now in full swing. Hope was spreading. 2 months later, I found a job. Hauling bricks at a construction site was exhausting, but it paid. Back to my old line of work, I said with a wry smile. I wasn't selling building materials, but it was still connected to construction. Chen became an administrator at the settlement. Qiang and Xiaomei opened a small restaurant. Old Li repaired appliances for people. Xiao Liu found a clerical job. Everyone was doing their best to keep going. 3 months later, the temporary settlement began relocating people. The newly built residential complex was finished. Those who qualified could apply to move in. The 6 of us applied together and were assigned to the same building. It was only a simple apartment. But on moving day, looking at the empty room, she looked at the empty room. Xiaomei cried, "We finally have a home." Yes, we have a home. From the balcony, you could see the new city being built in the distance. The new city was growing from the ruins, and it would be better than before. Chen said, I believe it. Only after going through the darkest times do you realize how precious the light is. A year later, I reopened a building materials store in the new district. Business was good. Everyone was rebuilding their homes, so building materials were in high demand. Chen often came by to visit, bringing his new girlfriend with him. Qiang and Xiaomei expanded their restaurant and hired several people. The young couple was as loving as ever. Old Li found the son he had been separated from. Father and son relied on each other. Xiao Liu passed the civil service exam and started working at the civil affairs department. Everyone had started a new life. No one forgot that rainstorm. Every time it rained, we still got nervous. Every time we saw the weather forecast, we still stocked up on a few extra things. Trauma takes time to heal. Boss, how much are the waterproofing materials? I asked the customer which kind he wanted. I smoothly gave my pitch. This one is the best. Absolutely waterproof. Really? I said seriously. I swear on my life. The customer laughed at how serious I was. He didn't know I had really tested it with my life. Outside the window, the sun was shining brightly. The forecast said it would be sunny for the next week. That was nice.